Hello and welcome to the 8.5 through 8.7 quiz review video. You want to make sure that you have out a piece of lined paper because that's what you're going to work from. You're going to title it 8.5 through 8.7 quiz review video. This will be collected tomorrow in class when you come to class before you take the quiz. Don't forget, in addition, you need to be watching the 5.1 video, which I believe is only 15 or 17 minutes long. I think it's 15 minutes. So you want to have your lined paper out, your pencil with eraser, colored pencils, and so on. This quiz is going to be fairly straightforward. It's 11 questions, so you just want to make sure that you're prepared to do the basics. Most of it is actually multiple choice. I think there are only 3 questions that are not, so this should be a pretty good slam dunk quiz for you. All right, so for your first problem on the quiz, you're going to be asked which of the following is a solution of the inequality. So you'll be given an inequality like this. So the first one I've written here is x plus 2 is less than 15. So this is an example of the inequality that you'll be shown. And again, the question will say which of the following is a solution of the inequality. And you'll have 4 multiple choice answers to choose from. So what you'll need to do is on the actual paper, you'll need to show me the work for this. So what you would do is say what's being done to x. Well, 2 is being added to it. So to undo that, we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. Then you're going to cross that out. We're left with just x on this side is less than 15 minus 2 is 13. So the solution for this inequality would be x is less than 13. So then you would just select that from one of the choices available. All right, the next question that you're going to see says the inequality A is less than 15. Okay, actually I went ahead and changed it, just the sign. The inequality A is greater than 15 represents the ages A, so that's just saying that the variable is A, that qualify for an adult ticket. Okay, so that's what the statement will say. You'll also have a table. I'll go ahead and draw the table now. Now you see the table to the right-hand side that I've drawn here, and I've got John is 12, Tina is 15, Toby is 32, and Aria is 16. So the question will say, which people qualify for an adult ticket? So the answer choices will have the names in them. So if you're looking at this particular problem, you want to ask yourself which people qualify for an adult ticket where A has to be greater than 15. Well, is 12 greater than 15? It's not. So John will not. I'm sorry, that's supposed to be an X. Is Tina greater than 15? You want to be careful with this one. This one's tricky because greater than 15 means it cannot be 15. So Tina is also not eligible for an adult ticket. Toby is 32. Is Toby greater than 15? Yes. So Toby would be 1. And then is Aria greater than 15? Yes. So Aria would be another. So your answer choice, let's say this one might be D, would be Toby and Aria. And then you would circle that. All right, number 3 is going to be a simple graphing the inequality question. So you'll see a graph drawn similar to, let's say, this one. And then we've got maybe 10, 9, 8, 7, 11, 12, and 13. And then the problem will say which inequality is graphed below. You'll see a list of choices like the list of choices I have here. A says that x is greater than 11. B says x is less than 11. C says x is greater than or equal to 11. And D says x is less than or equal to 11. So in order to figure out which inequality is graphed below, you want to take a look. And first, I would check to see if the dot is open or closed. Now that you can see that it's a closed dot, you want to make sure that you look and see and eliminate any of them that do not have that line under it. Because remember, the line means closed dot. Okay, so you want to make sure that you look for the dot first. This one's closed. So that means immediately B and C are out just because they don't have a line under them. After that, you want to take a look and see which direction it's going in. So X is all the numbers that are going to be greater than 11 or equal to 11. So that means that our correct answer is going to be C. X is greater than or equal to 11. Onward to number 4. All right, number 4 says that Jenny weighs at least 112 pounds, which inequality represents this statement. So you know that it's at least, so you want to think in your head about one of the situations that you are more familiar with. So you have to be at least 18 to vote. So that would be that type of question. So if you think about that situation, when it says you have to be at least 18 to vote, that means you can be 18. So immediately we can go ahead and cross out any of the two answers here that do not have that little underline that says equal to, because we know that if she's at least 112 pounds, she can also be 12 pounds. So now you only have B and D to choose from. So when you're thinking about it, you could even make yourself a little number line, and you can go, okay, this is 112. We can say this is 113, and this is 111. So if we're saying that she's at least 112 pounds, we know it's going to be a closed dot. That's why we marked out A and C. And we're saying, is 113 at least 112, or is 111 at least 112? Well, it's going to be 113 because that's going to be greater than. So at least means she can be more than, but she can't be less than. So the correct answer then would be B, which is W is, try that again. W is greater than or equal to 112. All right, now let's look at the side note that I have here. You want to make the same little side note. It says that you must know at least, at most, no more than, no less than, greater than, which also means also equal to. So what I'm saying is you have to know greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and so on. You want to just make a side note of that and make sure that you do know what each one of those signs represents. All right, moving on to number 5. Which of the following inequalities has the solution shown below? So go ahead and copy the problem now, as you see it with the yellow dot and the yellow arrow going to the left. So you want to copy the problem as you see it right now. All right, so now what you want to do is look. If you notice, all of the problems are the same. The only difference is the sign. So I'm going to take the first problem, which is 5x is greater than 55, and I'm going to write it off to the side. I'm going to solve the problem, so I'll solve using inverse operations, so I'll divide each side by 5, and we get x is greater than 11. So what I've done now is essentially I've solved the problem for all 4 of them, and now I just need to see which one actually matches this yellow dot. Well, now keep in mind, right away you want to make sure you look and see that the dot is closed. So if the dot's closed, that means immediately you can eliminate A and B, because A and B do not have the line underneath the symbol. Then you want to think about it. The answer to this particular inequality up here, I'm going to change to pink, is going to be x is less than or equal to 11. Because remember, all the numbers 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, which is the direction that it's pointing in, all those numbers are less than. So now with that information, you can see that the correct answer is C. All right, moving right along. The grid here that you see is me just throwing out there some of the possible questions that you'll have for numbers 6 through 10. For numbers 6 through 10, you're going to see a couple multiple choice answers, and you're going to see a couple free response. So what you need to make sure that you know how to do is solve each one of these problems. And if you know how to solve these problems, then you should be fine for the quiz. So I'm going to take these one at a time. So you don't have to draw them as a grid if you don't want to. You just want to make sure that you get all the problems on here. So the first one that we're going to look at is x divided by 4 is greater than 12. So as you can see, x divided by 4 is on the left, so we need to undo dividing by 4. So to undo dividing by 4, we would have to do the inverse, which is going to be to multiply each side by 4. So you want to go ahead and do that now. Then that will cross out the two 4s that are right here, and you'll be left with x is greater than 48. All right, the next one we see is 6x is less than 18. So again, 6 times x, the inverse of 6 times x would be to divide both sides by 6. So I'm going to go ahead and divide each side by 6, as shown right here. I'm going to cross these out, and we are left with x is less than 3. All right, now we're going to take a look at this one in the top right corner. We have p divided by 6 is less than 4. So again, we're going to look at p, that's our variable. It's being divided by 6. So the inverse of dividing by 6, or the opposite, is going to be to multiply each side by 6. So we're going to multiply each side by 6, crossing those out. And then we'll be left with p by itself is less than 24. And again, some of these you'll have multiple choice answer options, and some you'll just have to have free response. So that's why I'm just showing you how to work each one out now. The next one we're going to work on is y minus 9 is greater than 9. So don't be confused just because both the numbers are 9. You want to look to see what's being done to the variable. The variable's y. 9 is being subtracted from it. So in order to do the opposite, we need to add 9 to both sides. So we add 9 to both sides, and we're left with, 9 plus 9 is 18. So now we have y is greater than 18. All right, for the next one, we have 2 plus x is greater than or equal to 17. So x is our variable. What's being done to x? Well, 2 is being added to it. So the inverse of adding 2 would be to subtract 2 from each side. So it doesn't matter that it says 2 plus x instead of x plus 2. That's what it means. You have a positive 2 here, so you need to subtract 2 from each side. And you will be left then with x is greater than or equal to, and then 17 minus 2 will give you 15. So x is greater than or equal to 15. The next problem says x minus 4 is less than or equal to 12. So the x is the variable, 4 is being subtracted from it. So in order to undo that, we need to add 4 to both sides. Cross that out. 12 plus 4 is going to give us 16. So our final answer is going to be x is less than or equal to 16. I've always told you not to build from the answer like I did here in the center box. I just ran out of space, so that's why I was building from it. So x is less than or equal to 16 is the answer. Now we're looking at k plus 14 is less than or equal to 22. So k, 14 is being added to k. So to undo that, we're going to subtract 14 from each side. And then we are going to be left with k is less than or equal to 22 minus 14 is going to give us, it will give us k is less than or equal to 8. So hopefully that looks like an 8. Whoa. All right, and now we have s divided by 2 is less than 16. So you ask yourself, the variable is s. It's being divided by 2, so we need to multiply both sides by 2 so that we can get rid of the 2. And then you are left with s is less than 32. And you could put a little box around that. All right, and the last one here on our grid is going to be m plus 9 is less than 13. M is our variable, so we're going to subtract 9 from each side so that we can undo that adding 9. And then our answer will be left with is m is less than 9, 10, 13, so that gives us 4. M is less than 4. All right, and our last problem is going to be a word problem that you have to write and graph the inequality for. Okay, before I get you started on writing this problem, I just want to take 1 second to go back here. You want to make sure that on this grid that you're able to graph any of these solutions, because on the quiz for numbers 6 through 8, you'll just have to solve it and you'll be able to give me the answer. But for numbers 9 and 10, they're going to be 2 pieces to your answer. So the first piece would be to solve it, and then the second piece is going to be to graph it. So after I finish the last piece, which is the word problem, I'll go back and just kind of review just for a second how to graph these answers here. All right, so the problem that we have here for number 11, and I didn't actually number this, so I'm going to do that now. Number 11, write an inequality to represent the statement, the minivan can hold no more than 1,000 pounds. Then graph the inequality. So from here, all right, so for this problem, there are going to be 2 parts to it. The first one is you have to come up with the inequality. So when it says that the minivan can hold no more than 1,000 pounds, I would probably select P as my variable because that's the number of pounds. And then on the other side, I need to have the 1,000. Now, it's important that you have both sides set up before you try and put the variable in there, because it's difficult for you to compare P and 1,000 when you don't know that you have both pieces. So the pounds, which are going to be right here, it says can hold no more than 1,000 pounds. Oops, hold on 1 second. Okay, so what I'm basically trying to say is this side, the number of pounds on the left-hand side where I wrote that green arrow, can it be 2,000? It can't be. So what we need to do is we need to say that it's definitely got to be less than 1,000, but when it says can hold no more than 1,000 pounds, can it hold 1,000 pounds? Yes, it can. So you're going to go ahead and put an equal sign under there as well. So this would be your first answer. I would need you to put on the line. And then the second piece to this problem is for you to graph the inequality. So just like I've told you all along, you want to start with what you're graphing right in the middle, 1,000. And you can do, I mean, this might even be better if you just did 2,000, 3,000. Normally I have you do them by ones, but, oh, that's not good. That's not good.
It's 1 o'clock.
All right, that was weird too. All right, so this is going to be our graph because it's weird the way that it's set up. No, that's not going to be our graph. Hold on 1 second. Let me go ahead and fix that. We're just going to do 1,500, 2,000, This one's got to be a little bit different setup, only because of the large, numbers. All right, so once you've set up your inequality, then you're going to go ahead and graph it. Remember, your open dot goes on the 1,000. You're going to close it because you have that line right there. And then you're going to have to say to yourself, okay, if P has to be less than or equal to 1,000, then that means that my arrow needs to go in that direction to the left, because that's all the numbers that are less than. 500 is less than 1,000. All right, so now as promised, I'm going to go ahead and go on one more screen just so that I can add how to graph some of those problems. All right, so as you can see here, you don't need to write all the problems again, but what I did is I took a small screenshot so that I could just show you how to graph a couple of them. So for instance, if I had solved this one here in the center, this one right here, and my final answer here was going to be x is less than 3, then the way that I would need to graph that, just like I've taught you how to do this in each of the sections, 3, 2, 1, 0, 4, 5, 6, and then you would just graph it. So I'm going to have an open dot on 3, then I'm going to ask myself, x is all the numbers that are less than 3, so is 2 less than 3 or is 4 less than 3? And it's 2, so my line would go in this direction. So you just want to practice open dot, closed dot, and which direction your line goes on. Good luck, and I'll see you soon.